Hello everyone. Today we're starting a new Masechta. We're starting Daf Beis in Mציעא. Mציעא means the middle gate of Nizikin. After we finish Kama, now we're in the middle one, and then there's Basra. I'm gonna try doing the Shia a little different from what I did in the past. I'm gonna read the Gemara without explaining parts of the Gemara, and then I'm gonna repeat it outside and explain it no word by word. Let's give this a try. Let's start a new Masechta, Mishnah Daf Beis Amud Aleph, שניים אוחזים בטלס. שניים אוחזים בטלית. זה אומר אני מצאתיה, וזה אומר אני מצאתיה. זה אומר כולה שלי, וזה אומר כולה שלי. זה איש הבא שאין לו בה פחות מחציה, וזה איש הבא שאין לו בו פחות מחציה, ויחלוקו. זה אומר כולה שלי, וזה אומר חציה שלי. האומר כולה שלי היא שווה שאין לו בה פחות משלושה חלקים. והאומר חציה שלי שווה שאין לו בו פחות מרביע. זה נוטל שלושה חלקים, וזה נוטל רביע. היו שניים רוכבים על גבי בהמה, או שהיה אחד רוכב ואחד מנהיג. זה אומר כולה שלי, וזה אומר כולה שלי. זה היא שווה שאין לה בו פחות מחציה, וזה היא שווה שאין לו בו בה פחות מחציה, ויחלוקו. בזמן שהם מודים, או שיש להם עדים, חולקים ולא שבוע. And now we're going to explain the Mishnah. So the first case of the Mishnah, two people who come to Beis Din to court, holding a talis, from both sides of the talis, and let's call them Reuven and Shimon. Reuven says, I found this. And Shimon says, I found this. And Reuven says, it's all mine. And Shimon says, it's all mine. And we're going to see in the Gemara why this double lashon. So the Mishnah tells us the din is that each one has to make a shvua to say that he owns a minimum of half. And then they split this talis half each. That's the first case of the Mishnah. The second case of the Mishnah is a very similar case, just what Reuven and Shimon are saying are different. They both came in with a talis. Reuven says, it all belongs to me. And Shimon says, only half it belongs to me. Doesn't say all belongs to me. So the Mishnah tells us in such a case what you do is, so in half, everyone agrees that belongs to Reuven. The only argument is on the second half. So we say Reuven, who gets a half because everyone agrees on that, and then the other half, you split half, like we said in the first case in the Mishnah, that when you argue on the whole thing, you split a half. Here's the arguing on the whole half, so you split it. So Reuven makes a shvur that he owns minimum 3/4, a half that for sure is his, and another quarter that there's an argument about. And he gets 3/4, and Shimon makes a shvur that he owns minimum a quarter, and he gets a quarter. The third case of the Mishnah is a similar case, just except of a talis was talking about two people riding on a donkey, or one was riding and one was leading the donkey, and each one said that I found it, it's all mine. So the Mishnah says the same thing applies like the first case of the Mishnah. Each one makes a shvur that minimum is half is his, and they split up the donkey, the value of the donkey. And Rashi explains, we're going to say the reason why do we add this case in Mishnah, this obviously the same din by talis or a donkey, why should it be different? It's to tell you that people who ride a donkey or leading a donkey, that's a way to be koine a donkey. And then the last case of the Mishnah, that if they agree that it belongs to them 50-50, or there's eidim that they picked this Mציעא up together, then the din is yachloiku without a shvur. You don't need a shvur because they admit or because there's eidim. And Rashi says that the chiddush in this case is to tell you that a person could pick up a Mציעא for someone else. We're going to see it in the Gemara. Till here is Divrei Mishnah. Let's read the Gemara. Says the Gemara, Lo moli lemisne zoi me'ani mitosio v'zoi me'ani mitosio. Zoi me'kulo sheli v'zoi me'kul sheli lisni choda. חודו קטני, זה אומר אני מצאתיה וכולה שלי, וזה אומר אני מצאתיה וכולה שלי. וליתני אני מצאתיה וענה ידנה דכולה שלי. איתנה אני מצאתיה הווה מן המים מצאתיה ראיתיה. אף על גב דלא עתאי לידי. בראייה בעלמא קני. תנא כולה שלי דבראייה לא קני. ומי מצית אמרת מים מצאתיה ראיתיה ואמר רב נאי ומצאת דעתאי לידי משמע. אם ומצאת דקרא דעתה לידי משמע. ומי הוא? תנא לישנא דעלמא נקט. ומי דחזי לי אמר אנא אשכחתית. ואף על גב דלא עתאי לידי בראייה בעלמא קני. תני כולה שלי דבראייה בעלמא לא קני לה. וליתנה כולה שלי ולא באי אני מצאתיה. איתני כולה שלי הווה אמינא בעלמא דקתני מצאתיה בראייה בעלמא קני. תני אני מצאתיה והדר תנא כולה שלי דממשנה יתרה שמינן דראייה לא קני. ומי מצית אמרת חדא קטני והזה וזה קטני, זה אומר אני מצאתיה וזה אומר אני מצאתיה, זה אומר כולה שלי. אמר רב פאפא ואיתם הרב סימי בר אשי ואמר לה כדי רישא במציעא וספא במקח וממכר בצריכה. איתנא מציעא הווה אמינא מציעא הוא דרמי רבנן שבועה עלי משום דמורי ואמר חברי לאו מידי חסר בה אזל לתפס והתפליג בעדי אבל הוא מקח וממכר דלקה למימרחי אמה לא. ואיתנא מקח וממכר הוא דרמו רבנן שבוע עלי משום דמורי ואמר חברי דמי קייי ואנה דמי קייי בנה אשתא דצריכה לדידי אשקלנה וחברי לאיזה ליטרח ליזבן. אבל מציעא דלקה למימרחי אמה לא צריכה. מקח וממכר ולחזיז עוזי ממה נקט לא צריכה דנקט מתרוויו מחד מדעתי ומחד בעל כורחי ולא ידענה מי הוא מדעתי ומי הוא בעל כורחי. Okay, let's explain this Gemara. So the Gemara starts off with asking a kasha. In the first case of the Mishnah says that Reuven said, I found it, and then Shimon said, I found it. And then Reuven said, it's all mine, and Shimon said, it's all mine. So the Gemara asks, why didn't you put it in one big thing? The Reuven said, I found it, and it's all mine, and Shimon said, I found it, and it's all mine. So the Gemara, yeah, that's the Gerus, so let's change it. So the Gemara Teretz, yeah, really will be Gerus in the Mishnah. We're changing it and we're saying, yeah, that's how you read in the Mishnah. Reuven says, I found it and it's all mine. Shimon says, I found it and it's all mine. And not separately, Reuven, Shimon. See, the Gemara later on doesn't like that so much. But for now, the Gemara is happy with that. Ask the Gemara another question. Why do you need the Reuven says, I found it and it's all mine? You should say just, I found it. And obviously I know that means it's all mine if you found it. And then you don't need to say also, I found it and also it's all mine. Why do you need this double lashon? Says the Gemara, if it would say, only I found it, I might have thought. What does it mean found? I saw it. Doesn't mean I picked it up. And seeing it is not kind of the item. You need to pick it up. That's why the Mishnah goes on and says, no, only I found it and it's all mine, because it's talking about that he picked it up and it's coming to tell you that seeing by itself is not koina a mציעא. Ask the Gemara, how could you have a hava mina to say that finding it, mציעא, means seeing it? Doesn't make sense. Because we have a discussion. There is a ptur, it says reyecha in the pasuk of Aveda, and we say that a goy's Aveda you know mechuyev, and the shaila is, or you know mechuyev to pick it up, but if you pick it up, you mechuyev to give it back, or you know mechuyev whatsoever. So Ravina says that it says in the pasuk motzasa, and in that pasuk it says a ptur from a goy, and motzasa means that it came to his hand. So we could see that the ptur of Aveda Sagoy is also, even if it came to your hand. But we could see from there, says the Gemara, that what do they mean motzasa? They came to your hand. So how are we saying by us that motzasa means they just saw it? Says the Gemara Teretz, yes. Enochinami, when it says motzasa in the pasuk, it means it came to your hand for sure. That's the Lashon HaPasuk. But Lashon HaMishnah is a bit different. And in how people speak, people could say motzasa, or they could say I found it, and they mean I just saw it, even if I didn't pick it up. That's why the Mishnah had to say, Ani motzosio v'kulo sheli, to tell you they actually picked it up. Said the Gemara, okay, very good. I understand why it's not good to say Ani motzosio, because you might think it means Aryeh, that's why it says kulo sheli. Ask the Gemara, so write only kulo sheli, and don't write Ani motzosio, just kulo sheli. The Mishnah should only tell you that Reuven says it's kulo sheli, and Shimon says kulo sheli. Why do we need bichlal to put in Ani motzosio? And that the Gemara answers that if we would say Kula Shali, yeah, very good, you'd understand that we hear the case of the Mishnah very good. But in other places, you'd say, oh, what does Mitzvah means? To see it. And you could be koina Mציעא, you could become yours by seeing it. You don't need to pick it up. So that's why the Mishnah came and added and said two cases. I need Mציעא v'Kula Shali to tell you, you know what Mציעא means? Mציעא means picking it up. How do you know that? By Kula Shali, the Mishnah wrote extra lashon to tell you this, to tell you they shouldn't have been mistaken, and to tell you a din in Kol Torah Kula that Mציעא you only koina with picking it up and not by seeing it. And this is what the Mishnah is telling you, this extra lashon. Said the Gemara, back to the first question we asked, we said that the first question we asked, why does it say Reuven said Ani motzosio, Shimon says Ani motzosio, Reuven said Kulo Sheli and Shimon said Kulo Sheli. It say Reuven said Ani motzosio v'Kulo Sheli and Shimon says Ani motzosio v'Kulo Sheli. Why is it separate? Said the Gemara, how could you say the teretz that we said that, yeah, that's how we go in the Mishnah, Ani motzosio v'Kulo Sheli, we have it, put it together. It's not true. In the Mishnah it says it separately. In the Mishnah it says that Reuven says Ani motzosio and Shimon said Ani motzosio. Reuven says Kulo Sheli and Shimon said Kulo Sheli. It's separate. How could you tell me this teretz that you go differently? It doesn't say like that in the Mishnah. So says our Papa, a whole new teretz to the shaila of why do we have two cases of Ani motzosio v'Kulo Sheli, a whole new mahalech, nothing to do with Riyah, and to tell you that Riyah is not koina, it's a whole new mahalech. Says our Papa, it's coming to tell you two cases. Really the Mishnah is telling you two cases. One case is, like we learned until now, the Reuven and Shimon come and say, Ani motzosio, that we both found it. Each one says, I found it first and it all belongs to me. And the second case of the Mishnah is, the Mishnah is telling you a case of Mekach u'Memkar, not a guy who's finding a Veda, a guy who is buying something. Reuven and Shimon come to Bezdin with a talis, and they both say, we bought it from Levi. Reuven says, Kulo Sheli, I bought it from Levi by myself. And Shimon says, I bought it from Levi by myself and belongs to me. So similar case, arguing, and each one says it all belongs to him, but not because they found it, because they bought it from Levi. Mekach u'Memkar. And continues on the Gemara and says, it's on the base, V'tzricha, you need these two cases. Why can we learn one from each other? Because if it would only say Mציעא, you'd say, you know why by Mציעא you need to make a shvur? Because Reuven says it says, and Shimon says it says, maybe really Reuven saw Shimon pick it up, and he says, wait, Shimon picked this up from Hefke, it didn't belong to him, he found it in the street. I'm going to grab onto it now, because Shimon's anyway not losing anything. It's not like he paid from his own money for something and he's lost it. And therefore, I'll grab it on and say it's mine and get off. So that's why you think if you don't write Mציעא, you'd say, over there we put on him a shvur, that he'll be moida because he's moira heta to say I'm allowed to grab it. But you'd think by Mekach u'Memkar you might not need a shvur. And if you would say only Mekach u'Memkar, not a Veda, you'd say, you know why? You know why by Mekach u'Memkar there's a shvur? Because over there the person's moira heta. Reuven says, listen, we both went to Levi. Really Shimon gave the money first to Levi, and I only gave the money to Levi later on, and I picked it up later on from Shimon. But it's no big deal. Shimon's going to get back his money, and he's going to go buy something else with the money. He'll buy the same item from the next shop down. What's the big deal? He's not losing anything. Let my friend get it from another shop. He's not losing anything. But in a Mציעא, Reuven can't say, oh, let Shimon find another Mציעא, because a Mציעא is not something he could just go and find. It's, if you have luck, you find it. So therefore, maybe only by Mekach u'Memkar is moira heta, and it says, let Shimon buy it somewhere else. Then you chayav a shvur, they should admit. ben Mציעא that you can't say it, you know mechayev a shvua. That's why the Mishnah has to tell you both cases, also Mציעא and also Mekach u'Memkar, both places the Torah is mechayev on you to make a shvua, and only then you split it up. Says a Gemara, Kasha, you told me that it's talking about Mekach u'Memkar. Let's go to Levi and ask Levi, who did he take the money from? Did he take the money from Reuven or Shimon? Says the Gemara, no. It's talking about Levi got money from both of them, also from Reuven and Shimon. One of them he accepted it, and one of them forced him to take the money. And says Levi, I don't remember who the one who gave me the money and who the one who forced me. So therefore we don't know who it is, and therefore we say Yachloiku Beloy Yachloiku B'Shvua. Let's read the Gemara back inside. Lema matnitin delo kebenanas. Dei benanas amar ketzad elu ve'elu ba'im leidei shvuat shav. Afilu tema benanas. Atam vadai ika shvuat shav. Hachaika lemema deleke shvuat shav. Ema detarvayu be'ade adadi agbaua. So the Gemara wants to suggest that our Mishnah doesn't go like bananas. Why? Because banana says, and we'll tell you the case. The case is going the follows. Someone came to a shopkeeper and told the shopkeeper, listen, my workers are going to come to you, and please supply them with drinks until up to a value of 100 shekel worth of drinks that they could drink. And once they pick it up, I'll pay you for it. Comes the end of the day, the owner of the shop says to the person, he tells him, listen, your workers came and took drinks worth 100 shekel. Please pay me 100 shekel. He goes to his workers. How did you enjoy the drinks? They said, what are you talking about? We never took the drinks. We want the money instead. You owe us the money. Give us 100 shekel. And the owner has no idea what's true. So Banana says, there's a shit over there who holds that the owner of the shop needs to make a shvur that they took the drinks, and the workers make a shvur that they didn't take the drinks, and he has to pay each one 100 shekel. Banana says, no, you can't do such a thing, because if you do such a thing, we for sure going to have over here a false shvur, because it contradicts each other also that they didn't take the drinks and also he gave them the drinks, and you're going to have a shvur sheker, and we don't want someone to have a shvur sheker, we don't want Bezdin to cause a shvur sheker to happen, and therefore the owner, the person who has these workers has to pay the workers and pay the shopkeeper without a shvur. So the Gemara is suggesting also over here, if Reuven and Shimon are going to make a shvur that each one doesn't own only half, they owns minimum half, it's contradicting. Does it belong to Reuven or does it belong to Shimon? And therefore it's a shvur sheker. So Lecher, Benanas in our Mishnah will also argue and say that Yechloiku B'loi shvur. Says the Gemara, no. Over there, Banana says you can't make a shvur because it's for sure contradiction. Because it doesn't make sense that also the workers didn't get the drinks and also the workers got the drinks. It's for sure contradiction in the shvur. Masha'enken bayas, in Shnai Mochten Batalis, maybe very well Reuven and Shimon picked up the talis in the same moment, and they both coiner it together, and they coiner it 50-50. So when Reuven says he owns minimum half, and Shimon makes a shvur that he owns minimum half, that's the truth. It's not for sure a false shvur, and therefore we let him make such a shvur, and therefore our Mishnah could fit in like bananas. Let's read the Gemara again. Leima masnisim de lo kesumchus, di kesumchus